righty, we are on the air tonight with you.
Oh my gosh, back.
Oh,
Guess
man.
who's back?
Guess who's back?
Mark and Steve.
Mark and Steve are back. That's right.
I know it.
We are. We're in the new studio. I know we've had. This is our second podcast at the new studio.
Yeah, still working on some bugs.
It's going to be great. Mm-hmm. It's going to be great. I know we got an opportunity to kind of mix things up and move things around and get the way we like them. And I think that as you and I were just talking about, hey, get a little bit of a rearrangement and it's going to be fine in here. Get the lighting
cozy.
under control. But I think it's cozy. I think it is. I like the fact that I can be behind the desk a little bit, and this it might be a little bit big for this space, but we'll make it work.
But can he actually get bigger? I got a leaf.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I have a leaf. Yeah, it goes right behind you, actually.
Is it? Yeah. Oh, it is. I remember I was moving things around the other day.
Yeah, as I've been, looking at some ways that we can fancy it up a little bit. Obviously, we don't have the 14-foot tall ceilings and all that, but I guess we didn't really kind of need all that, but it did look good.
Yeah.
I think being able to mount some of the stuff on the walls and stuff, it'll look pretty good too. But I just want it to be, open to come in, sit down, do the podcast, and
yeah.
Interesting fact about podcasts this year.
What about?
They say they won an election.
I think they did.
Yeah.
I think that think that we finally figured out what happened to the media, right? The media, we were the mainstream media, the television media, because now I'm not saying that your television media is completely obsolete, because
I really think that
your local television stations do a phenomenal job. Yeah. And they're necessary because they're telling us what's going on right around us. Mm-hmm. But the networks, the cable news, the cable networks and stuff, they are
OB.
They are what did you say? OB?
Out of bounds.
Out of bounds. They're old, right? They're the old way of doing things. And
I don't even think it's the old way of doing things. I think that it got away from the old way of doing things. I think they got into the situation where money talked. And
because you're right. That's exactly what happened. It was obviously we don't have all the financials and proof in front of us, but this is we can speculate on this.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? And so I think that's what happened is they came in and they said, okay, well, who's going to pay us the most? And but I mean, really and truly, I think that
damn the idea of having a Republican own it. Yeah,
I'm not going to say the Democratic Party itself was doing this, but there was a portion or a section of the Democratic Party, of Democrats,
right?
Liberals, extreme liberals, not even liberals, but really it's the extreme left, that had gotten a hold of the media. They started by educating in the colleges, taking over the colleges, and
been
so
saying that for years.
they were educating the next level of the next generation of journalists, and they've gotten away from journalism, and so they became almost everything you see on the network news, right? And I use news, in quotes, is opinion.
Yeah.
It's the network news is all about opinion these days. It's not about they don't just want to tell you what it is. They wanted to tell you how you should feel about it and how you should think about it. And if you don't think the same way as them, then you're just stupid. And you hear the pundits now, about half of them are calling all of them 50% of America is stupid because we voted for Donald Trump, and that they just don't get it. They're still missing the point of why people are voting for Donald Trump. They tried to paint him as a racist. He's not a racist. You can look at his record with people. He's a man who cares about people.
Right.
When you see him interact with people, and that was one of the greatest things about him doing Joe Rogan. Right?
Yeah.
You got to hear him just talk. Just tell him talk about what's important to him.
We've only got 15 seconds left. In 15 seconds, please tell me what your whole plan is.
It's like, no. But Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan didn't care about as much. I mean, he cared about the policy, so he talked about that and touched on it. But it was also just an opening up and letting you really understand it. I think that people realized that this person is not who he's been portrayed to be.
Sure. Do you think that? Well, and I've often heard that folks in board meetings, their impression of Trump is completely different after being in a board meeting than it would have been based off of what they saw in the media.
Well, I mean,
because
I think
he's very business oriented.
Well, I think when you're talking about your business and things have to happen, but here's the thing: there was a story that goes around that about Trump's father, right? I forget his name.
Don't get me to quoting.
No, but it's
I'm having Alzheimer's.
Fred. I think it's Fred,
weeks.
right? His dad's name was Fred Trump. I think it's Fred. I may have that wrong, but
Fred Trump. It is Fred Trump.
So, and it talked about that a kid in his class lost his father.
Yeah.
Right, and this is what Donald got from his dad is. Donald, they showed up and said, "I want you to know, you're not going to have to worry about your kids."
Yeah.
Paying for because they were going to private school, and he took care of it. He took care of it for them. Made sure that those kids never felt a difference from at least had one part of their life that was stable now that their father was gone, and that's Donald Trump is that person. He embodies that part of his father. He really cares about people. Donald Trump did not need. They try to say, well, he's doing this just for his own sake. No. How does he make more money? He doesn't make more money by being president. No. He makes less money by being president. He has to put things up. He has to go.
I think during his last presidency, he didn't even take a dime. He gave it back. To
he had to
receive it, and
he has to take it because the law says he has to take it.
Yeah, but he redistributed it.
Then he gave it to charity every quarter. He would every quarter he would get his payment and he would distribute it to a charity because he doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Great. I saw a great. There's a couple of YouTube videos about Mar-a-Lago that's really cool out there. People want to see it, how it was built and all that. And then he, later on he bought it. Really good, really good stuff.
Because it's only worth $18,000.
$18 million. Right? Well, it cost $2.5 million to build in 1920s dollars, which is about $36 million in today's dollars.
It's funny you say that because and
that didn't include the furnishings and the decorations. That was just to build the building on the land.
No, but you say that, but like today, even in our own county, people are posting and raising a hubbub because it's going to cost a crap ton of money to build a building in Meade County.
It costs a lot of money.
I know
to do stuff.
But they've been kicking the can for 15 years on an animal shelter. Our animal shelter does not meet the current KRS for.
Yeah, I mean, so what do you do?
Well, it does. I shouldn't say that. I correct myself. It does meet the current state KRS for maintaining an animal control facility. It is not equipped to maintain the size of our county right now.
Right.
And that's the problem. We don't have a facility that's going.
So now you have to build it. So they're putting it. They're putting on a plot of land where they're going to move the road department over there, right? So it's going to be a shared space.
It is,
and so it's not like they're spending all this money on one facility. They're actually building multiple facilities over there to compensate. So,
and I think they've always. I don't think the Animal Advisory Board was put together by the judge executive to get all kinds of input and feedback from not only members of the elect, but also of the community and the businesses that are involved in the industry.
Yeah.
And all of the support organizations that go into it to help make sure that our animals in Meade County are maintained and cared for. In fact, recently they've had their first official case under the new KRS, which is still under investigation. I don't think they have a court date until like February the 28th. Or it's in late February for the one case that goes to animal cruelty and all that stuff. So Who manages that? That's the animal control. These requirements didn't exist before now. Now it's a law. The state says we got to do these things, and people are up in arms because we need to spend money on doing this. So it's not that they're building a $3 million facility so that we can slapstick it together and meet the requirement. They're also building a facility so we don't have to build another one in 20 years.
That's the thing. You have to not just. I'm so tired of the mentality from people. I hear people all the time complaining about, and we can go into individuals, but the you hear people complain all the time about this and that, and, in the county. But if you do it the way that they're thinking it should, and say, oh, you're going to spend this amount of money
strategically.
If you do it the way that the people who are complaining about it think you should just spend it right now to build up to just what it would barely be the minimum standard, and then 10 years from now, you've got to go do it again because you're going to triple that. And if you would just think, what is this? You've got to. We used to talk about the 5-year plan, right? Remember when we first started this podcast, and we were talking about that was the very first episode.
You have to put the infrastructure in place that lasts the long game, not the short-term Band-Aid for the long-term
Absolutely.
solution.
You've got to think about. You've got to not be thinking about 5 years. 5 years is about what are you doing now to get to the 20 years or the 30 years.
Right.
And so that's what you really should be looking at. Mm-hmm. And sorry, I had a little bit of a cough, so I'm going to take a cough drop.
Yeah, that's all right.
So so you have to be thinking about those things. You have to look 20 years down the road and say, okay, what is the population going to look like? What is Meade County going to look like? Because it doesn't matter. People say, well, I don't want it to grow. Well, you know what? The population is going to grow. Mm-hmm. It absolutely is. Or you're going to be running your own children off to keep it from happening.
That's correct.
And for me, as a person who loves his family, I want as much of my family to be around me as possible. Yeah. I mean, we're getting ready to go on a trip because our son is in the Navy, and we're going to go visit for the holidays, and this is the week we can do that. Not all of us are getting to go, but at least Kathy and I are going. Mm-hmm. And so
he's down in Norfolk right now.
He's in Norfolk. He lives in Virginia Beach, but all the same place, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which right now in the wintertime you can get oceanfront of Virginia Beach
super cheap.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know that you want to go hang out on the ocean.
No, but it's still get a nice view. It's a little bit sunny, but it's funny because he got Matthew got married. I said his name now, but he got married out there on Virginia Beach this time of year.
Oh my!
And it was like I think they have the they have that big statue of what's his name? The Neptune, the big Neptune statue down there on the waterfront, and so they got married down there by that, and it was like it was cold,
frigid.
It was cold, and then we had the bright idea we were going to walk. There was this restaurant we wanted to go to, and we thought, okay, we'll go down this restaurant. It's got to be just up the boardwalk. It was like a mile and a half, 2 miles, and so it's finally I got over and I said I just got on my phone, got an Uber because we were too far to walk back to the car.
Yeah.
And too far away to keep walking. It was so cold. So anyway, we Ubered over there. But it's a great place to visit if anybody has the opportunity to go over there. It's not super expensive even in the summertime.
But the long-standing talk of this is about the long-term solution.
Yeah. So how do you get to the? Yeah. How do you? You've got to think about the long haul because in 20 years, even in 20 years, you've got to be prepared for those updates and upgrades that are going to be necessary. But that gives you 4 5-year plans to start planning for that.
So right, and the infrastructure that went into the land, and that's what I hate about. Okay, it's so quick to put your opinion out on social media and blast it, and you got 5 other people that ask the same or fall in line on the same thing, but you don't have all the information. Well, here's the information: the land that is already owned by the county, but it did require the ground earth movement to make it buildable.
You got to pay somebody to do that.
You got to pay somebody to do that. So incorporating all of this into one big package is obviously the ultimate goal to cut the cost, but you still need to have the infrastructure in place. So, in the long game, okay, so we kick the can. We fix it now. It's broken. We fix it next year. It's broken. A new law comes out. You got to fix it again. You're not planning with the budget. You're reacting. And so what they're trying to do is for both of these facilities that are going to go on that land, they're trying to make sure that the land is expandable. One.
Yep.
so that they can meet the growing needs of the county, not for just a 20-year plan. What is the 2045? What is the 2060? And you can hear that if you go to the meetings, they talk about this all the time. I want to know what is the what would we need in 2060?
Yeah.
I know where we can be in 5 years. I know where we can be in 10 years, but what is the
because
need?
really, we keep saying 20, but it's really 40. You got to be thinking an
40
entire
years.
generation of people.
That's right.
That's actually, really 2 generations down the road, but you have to be thinking like that. My grandchildren, right? My children live here, or at least 2 out of the 3.
Yeah.
And my grandchildren are going to school here. They're and I want them to be here. I want them to say, "Hey, let's stay."
But
stay
they
close to
probably
home.
won't get involved until they're maybe 20 years beyond that.
Exactly.
Which is their 40s or their 50s before they publicly want to engage, which is where a lot of our conversations come from in social media space.
Yeah.
Because, we feel the impacts because we are raising a family or all of those other things. And then when you start to say, well, I'm working my butt off and I'm paying taxes and this, you start to care a little bit more because it's a bill.
Yeah, and I don't blame people for caring about how much we're spending.
Yeah, or why we're spending it.
But
don't
get the
blast it.
information.
Yeah, don't
go to social media and just put it out there without all the information, because ultimately, when the real information comes out, people are going to realize that you didn't know what you were talking about.
That and you're cherry picking.
It's careful. Yeah, and always. Always.
And I think we said this throughout the entire campaign. One of the things I think that did not help in nationwide, locally, is the smear campaigns. The smear campaigns, honestly, I think hurt them. I don't know why they think that that's better.
Because it worked for a long time.
I know, but for a party that talks about bullying and all that other crap, wow.
Well, they're the biggest bullies of them all.
Well, I mean, it goes into the hypocrisy. I mean, look at what Joe Biden just did. I'm not going to do it. I did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will.
If they're ever going to do anything that they
Mr.
said,
President, will you abide by the court's findings or the jury's findings on your son, on Hunter? Yes.
Yes.
Is a pardon out of the question? Yes.
And we know he said that
6 months later.
And we know
I'm pardoning him because he's being persecuted because he's my son. That's a bunch of bull. That's the biggest.
We sat
lump of
around
bull.
the turkey table, and I looked at my son, and I just couldn't spare the idea of seeing him behind bars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't disagree with that feeling or emotion. But you come from the office with the largest amount of power, and you are the leader of the Democratic Party right now.
The biggest problem of it is that he goes back 11 years.
Oh,
Not just 10.
I know.
Not just 10 years.
Yeah.
11 years.
That's what.
And when was what was 11 years ago? He started on the board of Barista. The whole thing
I got you.
that Biden bragged about holding them hostage, holding money hostage
I understand.
to get the prosecutor done, and then when Trump said, "Oh, that really."
No.
And then Trump said, "Hey, you need to investigate this and see what the corruption is." Then they go after him and that's when the whole impeachment happened.
So I spoke to somebody today that's on the opposite party. Good dude. He's a Roosevelt Democrat.
Yeah, I mean, there's good people. There's good.
Don't disagree
with
it.
There's good Democrats and there's also bad Republicans.
If I would say if you're a Roosevelt Democrat, you're probably more apt to come to the table and have a conversation.
Yeah.
That's like my grandfather's. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter as far as my concern. But we were able to have a conversation because we actually talked about this a little bit. But it's just an example of the falsehoods that you get disappointed in, and then you just get discouraged as a voting person. I guess it doesn't matter what I say because they're going to do whatever they want to. All of those underlying statements come out, and it's where's the Boy Scouts? Where is the Boy Scout in the position of being the leader of the free world? But where's also the animal? Where's the one that's going to toe the line? We're not doing that. I don't care what you say. That's not what the American people want. No, we want our own agenda.
But the media ran with it for 6 months.
Yeah, and
look how he embodies the principles of the integrity and all that crap. And everybody knew.
Yeah.
Even they knew when they were saying it that the likelihood was he was going to pardon Hunter. One, he doesn't need Hunter in a position to ever say that he did something,
Right.
Because it could be that he loses his reputation if we do find out for a fact that he was involved, and I think most of us feel that he was, and that he's been getting paid under the table for all these years, and he's I think that Joe Biden is the embodiment of a senator who has gotten filthy rich off of his position. Now, here's the thing: I don't think he started out doing it very well, because I heard a story one time that I can't remember where I heard this, so forgive me. I'm sure it was on a podcast or something somewhere, but it was they said that Biden, that when he became vice president under Obama, that Obama looked at him and said, "Yeah, how come you haven't been you haven't been doing this right?" And so. And I don't know how true that is, but it's just a matter of the thought that that's kind of like the expectation that you go in, you have all this power, and it doesn't mean you're doing something corrupt, right? It means you're writing a book and people are buying it, right? All of a sudden Hunter becomes a painter, and I think that my personal opinion is that they did that to launder the money, right? That they were how do you explain all this money that's coming in?
Well, we could speculate on a million
it's
things.
a lot of speculation. But.
If you were to ask Hunter Biden, though, I think on that he was trying to do recovery, and that was an outlet for him. Did it get attention? Did he sell some paintings? Hey.
Yeah, but $1.5 million. Come on.
I know.
Come on. There was
Picasso
not a payment.
Starved before his. No, I'm just kidding.
But I mean, most painters make more money after they're dead.
What was difficult for me, though, is that the media went, look at the Republicans and how they're reacting. Where's the journalism? Like, why aren't you reacting?
Most of the Republicans are just laughing.
Yeah, no,
because we knew it was coming.
Yeah,
but no, we're not.
But why would your headline be, the Republicans are freaking out because Joe Biden decided to? No, we're freaking out because you lied.
Because he lied.
The
media went along with it, and we all knew it.
But you won't.
We're not freaking out. We just knew we were right.
And you're going to condemn us for even.
But there are some people that they're making this thing like, how come all the January 6th people? Or there are some people who are saying, listen, if you broke the law, if you broke into the Capitol that day,
you broke the law.
You broke the law.
Yep.
And you should go to jail. Now, should you go to jail for 15 years for basically trespassing?
Don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think that those people were
examples.
They were meant to make an example that if you ever get out of line as a Republican, you were going to get removed.
Yeah.
Something wrong?
Yeah, no, you're good. I got the wrong picture-in-picture screen up. That's all right. Keep going. You're good.
I just caught you had a little issue. Anyway, but hey, the election's over.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is going to be our 47th president. I'm super excited about that. I think that this is going to be very interesting to watch the next 4 years. It's going to be very interesting to watch the next 5-6 months. I think that we're going to see things happen very quickly. Now, we still have to deal with getting through the Senate. They talked about Pete Hegseth is maybe Trump is going to have a backup plan for Pete Hegseth because and I think that's an unfortunate thing because Pete Hegseth
was coming.
Well, I know.
It's okay, but I mean, I didn't know if but
it's wrong. It's wrong. He had affairs on his multiple wives, and he's had 3 wives, and he's had an affair on 2 of them, and maybe it's this one. He was actually between his second and third wife during this, but he was kind of with the woman he's married to now. Anyway, that's probably his big hang up in life is is he's
He likes girls.
he likes girls, and I
so
think
the
that I
problem
think he's a
is
change.
that
I think
it's-
I hope and pray
Yeah.
that he's changed in that avenue, but that doesn't mean he's wrong about the thing on how to do the job.
No, I don't.
Right?
I don't disagree with that, but it's the problem is it's the optics. The military spent years overcoming the whole problem of sexual assault, sexual prevention. The military. He's going in to be the DOD.
Yeah,
guy.
but what you're saying is
Now, I'm not saying anything.
they don't want.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just
Yeah,
telling
okay.
you it's no different than the whole DEI problem. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I don't want to be accused as a racist, so I'm going to comply with this, or I don't want to be confused as a transphobic or a homophobic or blah, 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 or that I was discriminatory, blah, blah, blah. It goes into the whole DEI factor that he's against, and then, or does this put opposition against, it doesn't matter.
But is this coming up because they don't want to see him as a
Womanizer?
a
I don't know.
womanizer?
I don't know.
Or is it because they're afraid of what he's going to do in the job?
It could be both. It doesn't matter. They're going to use
I
the
think that's,
optic of whatever.
Right,
It's
but
gonna,
I really don't think they care about the optic as much, the womanizer as much as they do what they're afraid he's going to do in that
100%.
job.
No,
Did you hear who they're thinking about replacing him with?
yes, absolutely. Ron DeSantis? Are you kidding me? No.
Oh my gosh. I think you would rather have Pete Hegseth.
Well, I don't. Yeah.
I think so. I think you'd rather have Pete Hegseth.
I would be honest with you. If you wanted to pick somebody, I would want an academy graduate. I would want somebody that has either been in the State Department with years of experience working with foreign nationals, or somebody that has a joint ops 4-star command at some point.
Pete Hegseth is. Do you really need to have a star?
No, just hear me out.
I'm hearing you, but I'm not understanding you.
Okay, when you think of somebody that's worked in the joint operations world, commanding either Eurocom, Northcom, Southcom, Americom, whatever, all the cons, right? PACOM, largest area of focus in our global region. There's a PACOM commander. It's either the Navy, an Army, or whatever, but they wear 4 stars. And those people do not get 4 stars and command a large region of the globe without some history of joint operations, working at the Pentagon, understanding the money flows and all
understanding
this.
the in and outs of different things. I get that.
Yep. I'm sure that if the proper person was selected, or interviewed by Trump, he would find that good. And a general officer is going to serve the president of the United States. That's period. That the guy picks his generals. You know what I mean? The president. It says.
But
by authority of the.
But 8 years ago, we went through this, and you saw what happened to Trump from some of his generals.
I don't have a disagreement about that.
I know.
I'm not worried about that. But he knows what he did before, and he knows what he can do now, and he gets to pick his generals.
He's learning.
Yeah.
And that's why he also gets to choose.
But
he also gets to pick his Secretary of Defense.
Yes, no, and
It starts
the
there.
military should always know that it's ran by a civil authority. It is not run by those generals. It will always have the power of Congress.
But
the president.
I think there's some generals that don't.
I wouldn't be. You'd be lying. You would think you'd be a liar, but if you said that. But no, you're not a liar.
Because people are people.
But yes, but what I would think is
there's good and bad people in everything.
Yeah, but let me tell you, I've worked with a lot of great general officers. And
yes, I'm sure. Yeah, and I'm not trying to besmirch any.
But let me finish with the lineage. I would like to see somebody that's got some, this history of working in the joint world. The Pentagon has been in the private-public partnership. Not somebody that's, we're talking about the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
And that they've got some civilian experience in the world. They've left. I talk about Brett Guthrie all the time. Brett's a West Point candidate.
He is.
He just did his interviews for for West Point candidates that want to apply for a scholarship, or academy candidates, and he gives his a letter of endorsement.
Yep.
And he gets people to come down there and do that, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. But Brett has a history of that. Will Brett be the next? I don't know. But Brett went to class with the previous, Secretary of Defense. He was in class with those guys.
I mean, I don't want to say. Here's the thing. I just don't think that. I don't think that being an academy graduate is necessarily.
I said I would like. It doesn't have to be.
Okay. I'm just
Because
saying. I'm just going to my side.
Yeah,
my side of it is I'm okay with you not be. I do think you have to have military experience, and he was a major. I think is what level he was at. And he's
that's not a very strategic position.
It's not. It's not as strategic as it could be. But in his civilian life since then, he has spent lots of time. I mean, because you also remember he's also a Harvard grad and a Princeton grad, right? So that there's a lot of there's a lot to that.
I don't know the definition of what he got, but there's a lot of programs where there's a lot of officers that get Harvard credentials and Stanford credentials through their military officership. But
maybe, but
if he is a Harvard grad and all that stuff, that's fabulous. I don't hold that education against him.
because I think he was actually. I think that
probably one of the reasons why he got out, because of the resume, that it makes him more, employable.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's when I can get offered $200,000 a year to get
when
out
he got
now.
out, when he got out, that's what was kind of like in the beginnings of what you see that a lot of people don't like about the military today, and what's really hurt recruiting a lot. I believe.
No, you're not wrong there.
Yeah, I mean, recruiting is. What did we miss? Like 16,000 people last year, or something like that. Or?
Don't get me wrong. I would have been. I'm interested in to see where the ride goes for Pete Hegseth.
Yeah,
I think it shakes things up.
I hope he gets in there and it shakes things up in a good way.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I understand. I understand the risk. But this is not something that is such a risk that we can't be corrected, because there are there's levels of one. Donald Trump is still going to be the president. Donald Trump is still going to take advice from other people that he trusts in the military.
Yeah.
And Pete Hegseth is going to be there to do the bidding. He serves at the pleasure
of the president.
Yeah, at the pleasure of the president. So.
I always go back to that JFK movie where they were talking about the Cuban crisis.
Yeah.
And the civilian is like, you will not do that, General. You will stand down. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I said and you got the civilian going up against the. It's funny. I always think back to that as a great example of why we have civil authority over our military,
and that's why it works for us. Because if you don't, a lot of
military leaders will run the country.
Exactly, and that's you see that happen over and over again. I think that's the big difference between the United States and any other republic ever.
Cuba is the greatest example of our closest neighbor that happened. Fidel Castro.
I mean, Mexico is not. And Mexico, I'm not sure how Mexico's military works. It's a much smaller military than what we have. What did you think about the Canada talk this week? That was funny. I mean, I know it's all tongue in cheek and stuff, but hey, can Canada become the 51st?
Politics.
I went on. I was on X, kind of like doing some commenting and stuff on this, and it was like. And I said no. I said Canada would have to at least be. It would have to be at least the 51st and the 52nd state. It couldn't just be the 51st. It would have to more than likely be the 51st, 52nd, 53rd, and 54th. And maybe even the 55 and 56, because it's a very vast land.
It is.
And so, you could say, one, we're not going to just let you come in and become the largest state.
Above the Arctic Circle, so.
I think California and Texas are probably more populated than Canada. What's the population of Canada? Can you look that up real quick?
Yeah,
I didn't look it up. I meant to do that earlier.
Keep going with your thought. I got it.
Anyway, so it is a. But when he said that, I mean, it was covered better this time. Instead of saying
38.93 million.
38.93 million. So that puts it probably. It would probably put it second. I think California's got 54 million or something like that.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. Unauthorized immigrant population was 11 million in 2022. 20
What was California? What's California's official?
Hold on.
Yeah, I don't have my computer
Keep
on
going.
me today. So, anyway, where I'm going with that is, so you'd have to break that up. I mean, you'd have the same thing we have here, because you have like British Columbia, you have Quebec, and
39.11 million.
so it would be just under California's official, and probably just above Texas.
Could give them a heck of a lot of representation in the House.
And small, yeah. Well, it would, and so you see where I'm coming from. So, and then they would only have 2 senators for that entire region. So we can say that, but then.
I'd rather have 10.
Well, I mean, then you have to figure out how. I would rather them break it up 5 and 5.
Five states.
Three, either 2 and 2 or 3 and 3, because you'd have to say this would be because there's some very conservative red areas that we don't, they're not Republicans up there, but they would be red areas if they were here. But Toronto and Quebec,
That'd be just like Portland
Vancouver,
and
British Columbia, those are very blue. Would
it'd
be
be
very
just
blue
like
areas.
Portland and New York.
Well, see, Canada's a good part of a good example of why our electoral college works.
Oh yes.
But to make us all, it makes us all equal state-wise. And if we were ran like Canada, it would be you would have one
would be
party
blue all the time.
It would all be blue. You have representatives in Parliament that represent the different provinces, but it's it's ran by the blue, by the leftist side. And Trudeau is a highly, he's one of the, he would be a very, very leftist candidate in the United States. But that's a funny story to think about, right? It's almost like thinking about buying Greenland, right? And then what was it? Denmark said it's not for sale, or was it Norway? Whoever owns, I think Denmark owns it, but anyway, they said it's not for sale, blah blah blah. But if enough money was put on the table, it would be for sale, I'm sure. But it's an interesting thing. And Greenland's the largest island in the world, right? So.
Yeah.
And so it would definitely, be a huge land grab for the United States. But anyway, it's interesting stuff. It's funny stuff to think about.
345.9 million in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, in Canada's basically 10% of that.
That's up from Well,
I think that we're probably I think we're closer to 350 maybe, but whatever it is, well. It's we've kind of stabilized. We haven't really grown or shrank for quite a while because of the, which is why some people think that we should allow 10 million immigrants a year to come into the. That would people don't understand that you're when you have illegal immigrants coming into the country, and it's not a controlled process. Now. I would agree that we need to talk about maybe the line needs to be 1.5 million instead of 1. I mean, right now the goal is like 1 million to allow 1 million new immigrants every year.
Yeah, but that should be universal, not.
And under Trump, the legal immigration was actually got up to around 1.4 million, I think, at one time. So he opened the door a little bit more in his first term for legal purposes. That's never talked about. But he shut the door on illegal immigration, and so or he shut it as tight as we could get it.
Yeah.
And
then you didn't come in here and hang out waiting for a lawsuit and then disappear. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So it's a
this child thing is nerving to me, though.
Yeah, I mean the fact you got 10-year-olds showing up on the border.
How about the 2-year-old that could?
No, I saw the 2-year-old too. Yeah, I mean, and according to what's the
that'd be child abuse.
What's the new border czar? What is his name? Holloman. He that you could tell in his eyes that he cares.
Oh yeah,
that gets him. He one of the things that I remember him speaking at Congress one time talking about. He's held an 8-year-old or whatever, how old it was, as a small child, as they died, from heat exhaustion or whatever, being smuggled in these situations. And he's seen these young girls who have been abused by on their way into the United States.
Tom Homan.
Tom Homan, yeah.
Homan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's Holloman or Holloman or but Holman. Yeah. Anyway, I think he's going to be excellent because you can look in his eyes and see that he cares.
Yeah.
He's not angry, but he's going to be firm. He's going to be completely fair about what he does, and he believes in that, and he believes that you treat everybody the same, and then if you're here illegally, then that's the job. Right. And I think that he's going to be very, very good and very strong. And then, the goal is, nobody should be thinking that this is all going to just change overnight, that you're going to suddenly, you're going to make more money at work and the prices at Taco Bell are going to drop by half or 20% or 30%. So you can get a taco for less than $2 again. Right. It's going to be, it's going to take time for things to stabilize, and it's probably going to be more like, 3 or 4 years, you're going to start seeing the wages start going back up so that people are making more money again compared to what inflation is. So you're going to have to hold inflation back. Maybe there'll be some deflation, hopefully, because if we can get the fuel prices down so that you're not spending a ton of money to get goods from one point to another, then maybe they'll be able to ease in some price reductions and things on things that'll help the entire economy. But the fact that people, I saw somebody say over the last couple of days that they sarcastically talked about the fact that they're expecting people over the holiday, over the Thanksgiving holiday, people traveled. They said, it was like a record year for travel, and they're saying, and they started laughing, and sarcastically, tongue in cheek, saying, "Oh yeah, but you couldn't afford blah blah blah." It's like, and the economy sucks. It's like, not everybody's traveling, dude. Not everybody's traveling. There's different levels. People are not getting in the car and driving. A lot of people are still not getting in the car and driving places. And the other thing is a lot of people are putting money on credit cards to survive, to try to maintain, because they're thinking, hey, if I can just maintain for right now, then maybe I can get a raise in the next year or so, or maybe I can, maybe prices will drop and I'll be able to, be able to afford this a little bit better. And so that attitude's out there, right? And so and people want to feel good again. And and the Donald Trump winning has boosted a lot of people's attitudes.
Sure. The market even shows it.
Yeah. So the market's been way up. I don't know what it was today. I didn't check today, but it was up. And it's going to. They're expecting it to keep going up. Now I don't know. Some of that's going to be adjusted. I think there's going to be some adjustment.
Sure.
And I'm not a market analyst or anything like that, but you've seen these. We've all been around enough to say there. The market can go up for so long, and then it's going to do an adjustment. There's going to be a sell off, what have you. They had a sell off last week. I think just before Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
I think it was. It sold off a little bit, and so it'll ebb and flow like that for a little while, and we'll see. But again, the economy is more than just the market. The economy is, how much am I spending at the grocery store? Right now, everybody's on the verge of getting a tax increase in early next year.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that that's the first thing they're going to work on, is to make sure we can at least maintain our taxes at the same level, or maybe even lower them a little bit, so we can get a little bit more cash in our pocket, so we can pay off some of these things and stuff. So people won't have so much, won't have the burden that they have.
Right.
And
this is weird. I think we lost our stream.
We're not streaming now?
I think we lost it because I'm in Facebook right now and it's not there. We're not live. Hold on a second.
Uh-oh.
Super weird. This would be a waste.
Did we record it?
It's recording, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll just record it. We'll just drop it on. We'll just drop it back in later. If it's recording, we're okay.
Yeah. No, it's recording. Okay.
All right, well, that's good.
It booted me out of Restream.io. That's where I was at.
Oh, that's kind of wild.
Anyway, so let's pull it up to a wrap, and then we'll.
Okay, well, but guys, listen, it's Christmas time. I'm hoping and pray that everybody's going to have a great Christmas. To that order, our next event that we're promoting is that a week from tomorrow, next Thursday, the 12th. We will have the Christmas party. The Meade County GOP Christmas party will be at the venue at Roberts Family Farm. It was in the messenger this week, and it's been in there the last couple weeks. And we will, it's $35 at the door, and we hope that you all will
come out and join us.
There's still tickets available. But not a lot, but a few. So give us a call at 270-945-3418, and we'll make sure we get you a ticket reserved for you. The next thing after that, we will be hosting. Now this is not an open event to the public, but just to let you know, Meade County will be hosting the 2024 second district, the second district GOP. Meeting on the 14th, so we'll be hosting for the first time ever, and I think that's a great thing. And then next year we will have we will be doing our Republican Party a reorganization, or it's a reboot. So every 4 years, the Republican Party completely tears itself down. The leadership of this year is not the official leadership. They will take a temporary job to just run the meeting, but we will be able to choose new captains and new captains for the each precinct, and then those folks will get together at the county level and choose who our county officers will be. So it's always exciting. It's a little hectic at times to get all that put together, but we will have that probably in late February. We're trying to put the dates together with a location, and that will be also in the newspaper, and we will put it out on the podcast and things. We'll have all that set up by mid-January. So. But we ask every Republican to come out. If you are a registered Republican at the time of the 2024 presidential election, you are eligible to come out and vote in that. So
very cool.
Very cool. But that's what I have. We're not having a regular meeting this month. We're going to have that in next one in January, the third week of January, third Monday, out at 2714 Brandenburg Road, and it's at 7 o'clock. The train station, the
old train master
station, the train station master house, or the train master house, a station master house. That's what it's called.
Station master.
But we would love to have all you Republicans come out and get involved and get more information about the reorganization, things like that. At that meeting, we'll have all the details, and we invite you out to see it.
It is a democratic process.
It is a democratic process. We actually tear ourselves down and build ourselves back up. And if somebody else wants to step into a role of the party, come on. We need all the help we can get. If you feel like you want to be a lead a part or whatever, come out. We're not we don't push people away.
Yep.
So, but we look forward to that. So, but we had a little snow this week, Steve.
I loved it.
I loved having the white on the ground for a little bit. It makes it feel more like Christmas.
Yep.
I have Christmas music in my house.
I got to get the tree up.
I got the tree up. I haven't decorated it yet because we ordered some more lights for it, and it's the first strip came in and it wasn't quite long enough for my liking, and so we ordered another set that's a little bit longer. So they just came in today, so we'll be doing that tomorrow. But anyway, guys, we thank you all. And you'll have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
See ya.